Welcome to the Rex Andrews Show. Glad to have you with us. We're always excited to have new listeners. If you are a new listener, thank you for finding us. Thank you for coming along in the journey. Our show is all about biographies, and so we hope that we can entertain you. I have a couple things we ask for our new listeners. Number one, don't forget to subscribe so that way you get all the latest updates for the episodes. And then number two, we ask you to stop by the show website. That's because we try hard to cover lots of things in the show, but we only hit the tip of the iceberg. So stop by rexandrewshow.com. We have profiles of all of our guests that are on the show. And then the last thing is we're not bashful, and I will beg. In fact, I've got a caller on today, so I'll call myself a well-dressed beggar. And if you like what we're doing, give us those 5 stars so we can move up in the app stores as far as the podcast. I'd like to welcome back to the show. Our listeners are around the globe. We have listeners in 32 countries, a little over 520 cities, and on 6 continents. And if I could figure out how to market to penguins, but probably more important, help them charge their cell phones, we would have listeners on that last continent. And a new feature we're doing in the show that we like to recognize. We'd like to recognize listeners. And so we'd like to thank you for the listeners in Toledo, Ohio today. So thank you, the folks in Toledo. Glad to have you with us. Okay, fantastic. That's enough of the housekeeping. We got all that out of the way. I'm excited about today's guest. As someone who likes to travel and also likes to do it as least expensive as possible, got a great guest for us. He's a father, one of the most important roles a man can play. I always recognize that. Everything else we do during the day, while it's interesting, a father's important. So I like to point that out. He's a travel coach, which I've never met a travel coach. You know, there's all kinds of coaches out there, but he's a travel coach, and he's going to teach us about the right way to travel on pennies on the dollar. He's a speaker. And then in addition to this, he's a kind of a late life stand-up comedian. Just a few years back, he started being a comedian, so entertaining guest. So I'd like to welcome to the show, coming to us today from Florida, Chris Klesh. Chris, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to be here with you, Rex. I enjoy your show, and you just provide a variety of value and information to your listeners. So it's an honor and privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so you know how the show rolls. You've listened to an episode or two. So we like to go back in time to learn where people have come through. You know, success doesn't fall out of the sky. And so it's a journey, okay? And we'd like to understand influences and pivot points along the way in that journey. So what I'd like to do, Chris, and don't worry about writing these things down. I'll fire the questions out to you just one at a time because I've got these memorized, and it's the curiosity factor. I'd like to know where you were born. Okay, that's part of the world that has influences. I'd like to know where you were raised. Sometimes that's different. I had a guest on the show, Ellie Soja, who moved 63 times before the age of 15. She was the daughter of an international con man. So where you raised, it makes a difference. I'd like to know if you have a little bit about your family. So if you have siblings, and if you do have siblings, did any of them survive your harassment? We'd like to know about your folks, your parents, what they did growing up. And so got big influence. Now, what I've kind of found out with parental influences, there's sort of 3 buckets after interviewing hundreds of people. The 3 buckets I see are the super supportive parents. So they were just, they're pushing you along, helping you get to your dreams and goals and get you launched. Then there's sort of the middle bucket where, of course, the parents love their kids, but they were so busy eking out a living that they didn't have as much time to invest in their kids. And so that's sort of the middle bucket. And then the last bucket I call the struggle bucket, where kids are in an environment where there might be abuse, addiction, extreme poverty, dysfunction, those types of things. And so kind of like to talk about that because that's an influence. We also want to know, popping around, what you did as a kid when you were not in school. So what your interests were, sports, drama, theater, any things like that. Heck, it could even be shoplifting. I had a guest on the show who was a car thief by age of 15. So that's an interesting way to spend your time being a thief. So I won't think that you'd be in that category. And then we want to pop through your education, a little bit of work history, and then we'll fast forward up to what you're doing today, because I think you've got a fascinating topic. So if you could, Chris, take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
Yeah, I was actually born in Midtown Manhattan, Doctors Hospital in New York, New York. 19,
Fantastic.
1948. I'm 72 years old now, and I was actually born Midtown Manhattan.
Fantastic. Now, were you raised in Manhattan
No,
then?
and I was raised on Long Island,
Long Island.
Long Island and Farmingdale near Bethpage State Park. Avid golfer, where they've held the U.S. Open there, and went to Farmingdale High School.
Okay. Now, things that you did, you mentioned golf there. Was there anything else that you spent your time
Oh, I
on as
was
a
very
kid?
active in sports. I played football. In fact, I played a little college football, and I've done all sports: baseball, basketball, golf, tennis, scuba diving. So I was brought up I consider myself a cultural jock. I also love the theater and music. I was a musical prodigy. Uh, I played in symphony orchestras from the time I was 14 years old, and
Wow.
that really sent me to where my college, which is Indiana University, where I majored in music and radio and television. So I went out to the Midwest, and I studied music, conducting. I'm a conductor also, and theater arts, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. Now, do you have siblings?
I have one son, thank you. He's 29 years old. He's lives in Birmingham, Alabama. I put him through Auburn University 5 years. He's a CPA for Price Waterhouse, and obviously with this COVID thing, he's still working out of his home. But that's my only child. No grandchildren yet.
Okay.
But he's very successful.
Okay. And then how about siblings? Did you have siblings growing up, as far as, brothers and
Oh,
sisters?
yeah, I had one brother.
Okay. Fantastic.
One brother, and he was more of an exchange student. He was a foreign person, and he worked for the government. And actually, part of travels I'll discuss later. He was working in Africa for the government, and he invited me out there and went on a 3 or 4 week safari, Kenya, Tanzania. So that was a great travel experience. And you mentioned about my parents. One of the questions you asked, how did they influence you? And I was very blessed that they supported my music career and got me private piano lessons and percussion. I was a drummer lessons. They also introduced me to travel. We used to go on vacations. They took it seriously. They owned a family local newspaper out there on Long Island. Prior to that, they had a PR firm. So I got exposed to the travel bug earlier. I remember 12 years old going to Europe for 4 weeks. Actually, it's all about memories and experience. I remember
Sure.
having on the first tier that Eiffel Tower is a gourmet restaurant. At 12 years old, I'm on the Eiffel Tower dining in that fine restaurant and going around all around the country, fine resorts in Europe and museums. And the other thing is I got exposed at an early age, 12, in my teen years, to Broadway, the Broadway musical theater. It's a passion of mine, and it's still a passion of mine.
Okay. So another question I ask is, looking back in your formative years, all the way up through, high school, college, is there someone, setting aside your parents and your family, was there someone who made a huge influence on your life? Was there somebody that you look back and say, this person contributed, a coach, a teacher, a mentor, an extended family member?
Well, yes, to various degrees, different coaches. I'm an educated person. I have an MBA. I've always taken self-help, going to a lot of seminars. As I mentioned, I'm a member of National Speakers Association, Florida Speakers Association. I do a lot of reading on business. Things changed. I'm not a high-tech guy. I can't even spell Twitter. I try to immerse myself in the technology because I know that's important. But I'd say right now, for the past 4 years, I've had a very good mentor and coach for my speaking career. His name's Walter Bond. He's a Hall of Fame speaker, an ex-NBA player, and we meet on Saturday mornings for 2 hours, a good mastermind group, and he's really developed my core potential as a speaker.
Okay.
How to run the business, how to speak, how to open, close, give value. It's all about the audience, that sort of thing. And I'd say right now, he's my coach and mentor. I think everybody needs a coach. Obviously,
Sure.
when I played golf, I had a golf instructor, football coaches, being an athlete. I think everybody, whatever aspect their life is, whatever hobby it is, to improve, to enjoy it more, we all need that support, guidance, expertise.
Fantastic. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your education.
Yeah, like I said, I graduated Farmingdale High School, and because of my music background, I went to the Big Ten University, Indiana University, which is the School of Music, and I studied there music, conducting, my craft. I was a piano player, as a conductor, and also a percussionist. So I played everything in rock bands, jazz bands, symphony orchestras, and I also took a lot of theater courses, radio and TV production, that sort of thing. And from there, I graduated, and I got my first job in New York City with the phone company. I didn't want to travel. I was engaged at the time, and I wanted to be close to the theater, the music scene. So I started working for the phone company there, and it worked out because at those times, going back to the early 70s, they paid for my MBA. I was a
Oh my
marketing
goodness.
person, and the loyalty when you work for a major corporation, they afforded me the privilege and honor by going at nights and on weekends. I secured an MBA in finance and marketing. And again, that was during the Vietnam era, and that's where we had the draft lottery. So my number came up, so I enlisted instead of getting drafted, and I got into the Army Reserves in New Jersey. I was a member of the Army Reserves, and then as a musician and a conductor, I found out they needed a conductor in the National Guard in New York, the governor's band. So I auditioned for that, and I transferred from the Army Reserve, actually carrying machine guns and cleaning rifles and machine guns, and I became the conductor of the New York National Guard Army Band. So I finished
Wow.
out my military service, my 6 or 8 years, I think it was, with the National Guard in New York.
Okay. So obviously this huge musical career and influence. What instrument or instruments did you play?
Yeah, I play percussion. I was a drummer, behind the
Okay.
drum set, timpani, all the percussion instruments. So I played everything. I played in symphony orchestra from the time I was 17. And obviously, as a conductor and music student, you have to hold a certain proficiency in playing the piano. So I also obviously played the piano.
Oh, fantastic.
But I think my major love in music, besides performing, was more from the Broadway musical. I was addicted at an early age to the Broadway theater, the live Broadway theater.
Yeah. Well, my family used to live out, we used to live out in Connecticut. And so it was always fun to get into the city and get to the Broadway. So fantastic. But I'm a long ways from that now. I'm probably about 1,500 miles or more. So let's skip forward to what you're up to now in the speaking and this whole concept. What the heck is a travel coach?
Yeah, well, to answer your question, I put in my 30 years in corporate America in marketing. I transferred to Florida. I've always loved to travel. I enjoy looking forward to seeing the world, vacations, education, everything from going to sporting events, like I said, to a safari, to seeing museums, that sort of thing, Broadway shows. I'm a ski bum. I love the beach. And so when I retired, it became a natural thing. Let's travel, let's travel, let's travel. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been around the world once or 1.5 times, and I learned how to do it for pennies on a dollar. Obviously, I retired with a pension, a 401k, so that afforded me. But my background as a speaker, when I was in corporate America, I gave a lot of presentations. I was in front of an audience to the executives, salespeople. So speaking came natural to me, and also from the theater, taking acting classes, etc. It came pretty natural. I have no fear of speaking. So a lot of people encourage me. You're doing all this traveling and you're saving all this money. You have learned all the tricks, and it seems like you get it's in your bloodstream. It's like a
Sure.
drug. How do we travel and enjoy it and still be able to do it affordably? That's the big problem. Everybody wants to travel, but how do we afford to do it? So I sort of made that my mission to help people out in traveling.
Okay. So there's two big elements. I've done enough traveling. I used to do a ton of traveling corporate. When you fly 150, 200 segments a year on flights, you learn a few tricks in here. So the biggest two elements of the cost of travel is actually the transportation and then the lodging.
Right.
So where do you start to break down and help people
Well,
understand?
you hit the great question. You hit the nail on the head. When you break down travel for a typical family vacation, corporate travel, etc., is your transportation, I mean airfare,
Yeah.
and accommodations, lodging. Now, how I've mastered the airfare thing, every airline is associated with a credit card with a bank. And what you want to do is pick the airline you fly the most on. In other words, to your desired vacation destinations or corporate destinations, and make sure you get their sign up promotions.
Okay.
In other words, if you fly Delta, if you're based out of Atlanta, Delta's based out of Atlanta, you want to make sure you have a Delta Sky Miles credit card.
Exactly.
And they come in different varieties. And what you do is put your spending to make the initial bonus. And for instance, let's talk about Delta right now. They have a 70,000 miles sign up bonus. You spend $2,000 in 3 months and you're going to get 70,000 miles into your Delta Sky Miles account just for
Wow. So
and normal
that's a free
charges in
ticket.
there, filling up gas, groceries. Hell,
Yep.
to give you an example, I just renewed mine. I put my homeowner's insurance. It was 2,500. State Farm took it on the credit card, and that met my minimum spending. So I got 70,000 Delta cards. And if you have a business, get a business card.
Yeah.
Same thing with the same airline. Now, here's the one trick I show people in my coaching program, my individual clients. There's a credit card out there where all you have to do is make one purchase, buy a pack of gum. Now, you need a credit score 700,
Sure.
obviously, like any other credit card to get it accepted. One purchase, that's all, pack of gum, fill up your tank, and you're going to get 60,000 American airline miles.
Wow.
60,000. That's the equivalent of round trip ticket to Hawaii for buying a pack of gum. In addition, you're going to get free baggage check-in, so you're not paying for baggage check-in with your party, and you're going to get priority boarding.
Wow.
So what you have to do, there's a lot of travel blogs out there. These sign-up bonuses change. You pick the airline you want to fly, whether it's Delta, United, American, Chase Bank, for instance. Here's another one. Chase Bank has Southwest. They have 5 different credit cards out there, and you sign up for their bonuses. You spend the minimum, usually on these credit cards, with the exception of the one I show my clients, you spend 2,000 or 3,000. Obviously, we all know you don't pay any interest. You pay off the bills or you don't make the charge at the end of the month. And those miles flow into your account. And with, for instance, Southwest, they have a companion pass now. If you accumulate, I think it's 120,000 Southwest miles, they call them rapid rewards credits. You get a companion pass. So I was able to help a client. They wanted to take his son to 5 ballparks this summer. And I said, where are you located? And we got the geographic location. I said, your best bet is to get the Southwest thing.
Southwest
Put your
card.
Charges on Southwest, get 2 or 3 of their cards, get a business card. And he wound up going to 5 or 6 different cities for free with his son. So it's a game. It's called travel hacking. If you know the inside secrets, where to go, the blogs, the big benefit is the sign-up bonuses. Get the sign-up bonuses, get the card. If you have a business, you're an entrepreneur like yourself or myself, put one in your business and you keep accumulating these points, the airline of your choice, and you fly for free. You don't pay for baggage check-in, you get priority boarding.
It's a great tip, because I can remember back when I was traveling a ton I was in corporate for a long time. And of course, what the method of expenses were, you put it on your card and then you get reimbursed. Well, I had a good buddy who just everything, and we both had Sky Miles cards, and I flew to London a couple times with my wife, and then basically, this buddy of mine would put his mortgage on his card, because the mortgage company he worked with, and he actually refinanced to get to somebody who would accept the credit card for his payment, so he could get those points. And I think at the time it was like $1,800 or something. but that's a lot of points that you add
Sure.
up very quickly. Now
Yeah,
you,
you hit the nail on the head. It turns into a game. You have to, there's blogs out there that I subscribe to. Like I said, this is my business. I'm a junkie. I get 50 blogs and they change. You have to be aware everything changes, the promotions, but the idea is the airline of your choice. You don't really have to pay for a fly if you get these sign-up bonuses. You spend the money, you keep track of it, pay the bill when it comes in. And with this one credit card, I showed people, I gave a speech, for instance, before COVID in Las Vegas. And I let all the audience, there were 1,000 in the audience. I said, I'm going to be your Santa Claus. You don't have to shop anymore. I gave them a website and a code. And I said, this will enable you, your spouse, to fly free on American Airlines. Buy a pack of gum. They did it. I said, give this to your friends. The code could be reused. And I got so many thank you emails, texts, etc., that I was enabled people. It was sound too good to be true, but it was actually a loophole. It was out there. You got to take advantage. A lot of times these are loopholes.
you're right.
They're inside secrets. They're not. You're not going to find them on the regular TV, on the internet. They're inside information.
So, Chris, we have a lot of people who kind of play along with the show. So they're listening and they might be working on a computer or a phone. What's the best place that people get a hold of you? A website, Facebook, whatever?
Yeah, well,
What's
if they
the
want to
best
get
way?
a hold of me, I'd be glad to answer their questions. Yeah, I have now set up a URL for a
Okay.
free consultation with just for your listeners. Go to coachchrisspeaks.com.
Okay, fantastic.
coachchrisspeaks.com. It's an automated calendar. Just fill in when you'd like to speak to me for 15 minutes, maybe even up to a half an hour. I have a few questions in there about how many people travel in your party,
Sure.
your desired destinations, the time of the year, if you're a member of any loyalty programs, etc., such as Marriott, Bonvoy. So it'll help me guide you the best alternatives, because travel is an individual thing. Everybody has different goals and objectives. Some people want to go to Europe, other people take cruises, other people want to sit on the beach in Hawaii, other people that go to Caribbean.
Sure.
I know I go to New York a lot. Like I mentioned to you, Rex, I go out to Colorado skiing at the major ski resorts in Park City or Vail, Beaver Creek, Breckenridge. And the idea is customize it to the individual, what theirs are. I mean, my mission statement of my company is we look forward to servicing your dreams and bringing your family together so your memories can last forever. That's what we basically do without breaking the bank.
Without breaking the bank. Now, you told me something in the offline interview, and because you're eating your own dog food, essentially, you're practicing what you preach. You haven't flown, you haven't paid for a flight in how many years?
14 years.
Wow. 14.
And Rex, I'm not married to a flight attendant either. When I say I haven't paid for a flight, a lot of these credit card deals, you fly up with frequent flyer miles, as you know, in your business, you pay a tax, maybe $5, $10 for the flight. There's a tax,
right. But you haven't. But you're not paying for the. You're not paying for the flight.
Yeah, and again, there's tricks when you book reward travel. You have to know how to use the internet, the website, to get flexible times. The more flexible you are with your times, day of the week, etc., the fewer miles you'll use. So it's a sort of a science to get the best bang, best return on investment of your frequent flyer currency, so to speak, that enables you to travel basically for free the way I do.
Fantastic. So I like what you're talking about as far as customizing it, because I live in a market that's dominated by two carriers: United, because we're a hub here in Denver, and then also Southwest. Now, if I wanted to fly East Coast a lot, it would probably behoove me to do United, or go to places where they're hubs and they're sorry. But Southwest, has, for me, is a great airline because it goes to a lot of places I like to go. So,
yeah, and again, not to interrupt you, talking about Southwest, another benefit of Southwest is luggage is free.
Yeah. Oh,
they allow you to carry 2 bags on if you're a family traveling. That adds up on some of the other airlines. And here's the other benefit of Southwest is that if you cancel a flight, the money you paid for that flight is put into a Southwest account. It's like a savings account, currency you could use for an additional flight. So that's another I just thought I'd add that benefit of Southwest Airlines.
Well, you know, the industry's changed a lot in the last 10 years as far as the airline industry, and probably even more in the last like 5. This game of paying for all these extras is crazy. I mean, to pay for luggage and you know, those types of things, or to pay for seat assignments and things like that. You know, I'm not going to mention the airline Frontier. I wouldn't ever fly that place again because they charge you for everything. It's surprising to me they don't have a credit card reader on the restroom because
You're right.
everything you can think of, they jam the seats together. I'm not a big Frontier fan ever. In fact, I've had so many problems where they've canceled the flight. And then, you know, one time I was trying to get my daughter home for a particular event she was going to. There was a snowstorm in Salt Lake City, and it prevented her to getting here. And the best that they could come up to get her on the flight, because they don't, you know, interlink with anybody else, was 3 weeks later. And
Yeah, that's a shame.
yeah,
Well,
and I basically told, and then they had fees for me to, and I was like, that's the last nickel you'll ever get out of me,
yeah,
because
well, you brought up an excellent point. The real low cost airlines such as Frontier, Spirit's another one that charges nickel and dimes you a la carte.
yep,
You got to be very careful. If you're checking in luggage, it's no good unless you
no,
could put it under your seat. They even charge you to put luggage, like you know, in the overhead compartment. So unless you're really traveling point to point, and you can put it under the seat in front of you, all the a la carte
no.
charges add up.
Oh, there, and
And
often, you know, because
yeah,
I've got kids that go to school over in Utah a lot. And so when you compare a Frontier flight compared to a Southwest flight, by the time you add on all the fees, okay, it's oftentimes in most of the case that Frontier is more expensive because of the nickel and dime.
yeah. Well, you have to be careful. Again, it's all about being an educated consumer.
Yeah,
With all the different websites on there, Travelocity, Orbitz, and you got to be careful. There's a website, airfarewatchdog.com, that compares prices, Fare Compare.
yeah,
Everything's on the internet. It does get confusing, but you could save so much money. Like, for instance, I don't pay to fly. And you mentioned Southwest. You go to their website, you get their credit cards, you fly for free, you accumulate enough points, you and a companion could fly for free. And then you use the points again on being a flexible on their schedule. They have like a wanna getaway fare, it's called.
sure.
It's a little more flexible. You use less points, less currency. So you really have to do your homework. If you do your homework and you spend a little time, or you employ somebody like me that knows that, you know, all the inside secrets, you could wind up saving hell of a lot of money. And basically, I've been able to share this with my audiences on stage, really, like you mentioned, how to fly for free, and then we'll transition into the accommodations when you're
Okay.
ready.
Great. Serendipitous. That's about where I was going. My next pivot was, let's talk about lodging. How do you help people find it? Because we talked before we got on the air today about, you're not a Motel 6 guy. You're not a Super 8 guy. You like the good hotels. Okay. You know, decent places 4 and up, 4 stars and up. So tell us about saving money with lodging.
Yeah, well, here's my biggest tip. And again, I talk about inside secrets, things that your audience normally wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
First, on hotels, like I said, with airlines, you could subscribe to a hotel credit card.
Okay.
Bonvoy, I recommend Bonvoy. It's used to be Marriott, and now it's Marriott Rewards, because now they've merged with Westin, Starwood, etc. By spending money on their credit card or spending the minimum, you're going to get 1 or 2 free nights. But here's the number one tip, and I want to accentuate this. When you're going on a typical family vacation, 7 nights with your family, whether it be a couple, your children, your grandparents, etc., here's the number one tip. Forget the word hotels. Repeat after me. Forget the word hotels. Why? Because Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Westin, Disney, Starwood, Wyndham, even the Ritz-Carlton, they're all hotels, but they all have timeshare or vacation club products.
Okay.
They all have vacation. You don't have to own. A lot of people own timeshares. They're very happy. I own a lot of them. And again, that's a whole new topic. I could spend 2 hours on it, how to do it for pennies on a dollar. But anyhow, you could go on this website for your audience, redweek.com. That's a resource, redweek.com. redweek.com. Pick out your desired location. And most of these timeshares, or they call them now hotel vacation clubs.
Sure.
Marriott, it's Marriott Vacation Club, Hilton Grand Vacation Club, and rent from an owner and get triple the space, triple the amenities for 1/3 the price of a hotel room. And I'll use me as an example. Like you said, I'm the guinea pig. I'm a ski bum. We mentioned I love skiing, and I ski not as much as you used to. I'm skiing 2 months of the year. And let's take Vail, high rent district. Everybody knows Vail, Colorado. People coming internationally. A Marriott hotel room in ski season in Vail goes for about $750 a night. Ooh. Nice hotel room, sleeps two, etc. Good location. Oh, by the way, and another $50 just to park your car.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're up to $750, $800. If you go on the internet, a half mile away is the Marriott Streamside Resort. It's called Marriott Streamside. It's a timeshare.
Sure.
It's managed by Marriott. The sanitization is there, the cleanliness, the Marriott standards, and you could get a 1 or 2 bedroom unit with a full kitchen now, a full kitchen.
Sure.
Flat 2 or 3 flat screen TVs, a washer dryer, underground free parking. The one I stay in when I'm out there, I love making fires in the fireplace. The firewood's free. You take a luggage cart down to the garage, you put the logs on, and you're not even paying for the logs. And then the amenities, they have a clubhouse with an indoor-outdoor pool, sauna, whirlpool, weight room, etc. If you would need a ski rental shops right in the lodge itself. And instead of paying $750 a night, you could rent these units from an owner for $200 or $300 a night. Sleeps 4, 6, or 8. Some of them have 1 bedrooms, the one I stay in. 1 bedroom, full kitchen, washer, dryer, full kitchen now. All the utensils there, jacuzzi tub, fireplace, balcony, and you're going to wind up spending $200 or $300, no tax, because you're renting from an owner.
Oh, nice.
So translation now is you're going to get triple the space, especially with families traveling the number, 3 generations. You get 2, 3 bedroom units, and these resorts are located all over Hawaii, all over the Caribbean, all over Disney World. Forget hotels. You want to stay at a resort. And then the advantage, especially in this pandemic, people saving money, they don't have to go out to eat. They could cook the breakfast there, the dinner there. They shop like I do. I like to save money. I go to Costco before I check in Vail. I pick up all food and everything, stock the refrigerator, and I wind up eating half the time there. You're doing laundry if you have a family. You're there for a week, and you get all the resort amenities. Now, I'm here in Florida.
Right.
I live at a golf course community, but I go 10 miles away. There's Marriott resorts, vacation clubs on the beach where you stay overlooking the ocean. You get miniature golf, free tennis, weight room, entertainment, free aerobics, kids activities, again, for less than Motel 6 prices. By renting the space on the internet, I give you an example, redweek.com, another website that provides these rentals for your listeners is TUG, Timeshare Users Group, TUG.org. Subscribe there. They have owners that have bought timeshares that are not using them. They put their units up for rentals just to get the maintenance fees back. And you're going to wind up with double, triple the space, especially for a family. You're going to have that
family traveling, absolutely.
3 TVs, 3 flat screen TVs, all cable, free Wi-Fi, and you're going to get the cleanliness standards of the major hotel chains. I recommend staying with the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the Hyatts, the Westons, etc., because you're going to get their standards of cleanliness and sanitization in this, COVID transition environment. So that's an inside tip.
Well, that's a great
hotels all the time. Go on the internet, and you don't have to own now.
No,
you don't have to spend the $50,000-$60,000. What you're doing is buying unused inventory, renting unused inventory from owners that can't travel. They're canceling. They're just trying to make up their maintenance fee at these luxury resorts, all resort amenities, 13, 1,400 square feet, 1, 2, 3-bedroom units, all with these glorious pools, hot tubs, family activities,
Fantastic.
full kitchen for basically half the price, sometimes a third the price of a normal hotel room.
That's fantastic. You know, one of the things too, you mentioned something that's really key. Most hotels, rental car companies, all of that have these ridiculous taxes. They're added on top of your lodging or rental car costs. And so they're absolutely crazy. You can check into a hotel and pay 20, 30, $40 in additional fees with all these tacked on stuff because like here in Colorado, they're huge on trying to jam the tourists because that's one of our biggest industries here. And so they want to tax the daylights out of them. So you get all these ridiculous fees on top. So it's not only just the accommodation price, it's the taxes that you're paying when you don't have to pay when you're using your technique.
Yeah, especially, you know, a lot of these resorts like Las Vegas tacked on resort fees. In addition to the
Yes.
room rate, there's a resort fee, and then there's a city tax, a tourist tax, so and it adds up. And in some of these resorts, fancier 4-star resorts, they require valet parking, etc. When you utilize the hotel, I recommend, there's a lot of times, there's millions of them around the world. I say stick with the major hotel chains because you
Sure.
know what you're going to get. You're going to get the quality, the
And
clean sheet.
cleanly.
You're going to
Yep.
get, and they all have, like I stay in Marriott. I've stayed at 36 of them. I've been all through Hawaii, all through the Caribbean, all through the United States, the ski resorts. That's where I stay. You know you're going to get quality, sanitary conditions. You're going to get good bedding, good lighting. The TV is going to have, you know, all the channels on it, free workable Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And that's the way to go. Look at that as your first option for
Okay.
your family vacation.
Yeah, I can remember back in the day when I traveled heavy. I've been in tech and travel. I used to travel heavy. I didn't know this tip, but I did do one thing. I only stayed in Marriott properties. And I don't care if I had to drive an extra 30, 40 miles to a meeting because I wanted the points. And so that enabled me to go on vacation with my kids, like to Disneyland. I could fly everybody there and the accommodations were free. So the only thing I paid for was food and, you know, getting into the park. And so I didn't know your tips like this, but you know, if you start to really add this up, you can actually have some great value. But gosh, the fact that you haven't paid for a flight in 14 years, that's amazing.
Yeah, and really, a lot of people don't believe me, but I do this luxury traveling for literally less than 10 cents on a dollar. And you said stick with one brand. After you know, like you mentioned Marriott, I'm a Marriott guy now that they've expanded. You build up your loyalty. Certain credit cards give you silver status or gold status, and that enables you to get an upgrade in your room if you're
Yep.
staying in a hotel in a suite. A late checkout. If I stay in a Marriott hotel, I don't check out until 4 o'clock. I'm going to be in New York. I mentioned to you I love Broadway. I'm already booked Christmas week in the Marriott Marquis. I'm in a suite overlooking Times Square, and I get used to the concierge lounge because of my status. And that gives me free breakfast, free happy hour, free hors d'oeuvres. There's breakfast and dinner. So, like you said, all I'm going to wind up paying is for the Broadway tickets.
Yeah.
And that's a more sophisticated trip. I show people how to go on these Marriott preview tours through Marriott. They want to sell you timeshare. You don't have to buy anything, and you get
Yeah.
these absolutely amazing deals if you sit through their presentation. And I show people how to cut that presentation time down instead of an hour to be there for half an hour. And you're going to get these luxury amenities at these resorts with all these facilities at giveaway prices.
You know, one of my Marriott memories that I hold on to, I was actually supposed to be in the World Trade Center there, the South Tower. I was in tech. There was a tech company I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there on 9/11. I had been there the Thursday before, but luckily that meeting I was supposed to be in got canceled. So on 9/11, because that was a Tuesday. Now, the only place I stayed in New York when I was there was the Marriott inside the World Trade Center. It had a pool and just there. So when those buildings came down, all I could remember, or one of the things that I was envisioning as that was, you know, being destroyed, was the rooms I stayed in at that Marriott and the lobby, because I had spent a lot of time having meetings in the lobby. You know, have my computer down there, and I would
Yeah, sure.
sit with somebody and stuff. So yeah, I missed the going to that Marriott at the World Trade Center. So
Yeah, you want quality. Once you stay in quality resorts that have Wi-Fi, business centers, pools,
yes, exactly.
cleanliness. When you go in the room, you're going to get all the TV stations, ESPN. You get used to quality. You don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
And again, we didn't really speak a lot about this travel now. As I speak in my talks, the importance of travel and leisure. I think we didn't discuss that because tell my audience, first of all, I asked the question, would you all agree that the best things in life aren't the things? Look, this is a $35 Costco watch. It's no Rolex. It tells time. But the best things in life aren't the material things. What are they? It's your health.
Yep.
Right? Your mental, physical health, your family, your friends, and those precious memories and experience. A lot of those memories and experiences involve travel and leisure around vacations, weddings, reunions, bucket list trips, golfing outings, girlfriend trips. That's where you create the memories and experience that last for a lifetime. And it's not the years in your life, it's really the life in those years that matter. So everybody should, especially now that we're getting vaccinated, travel's back. It's a little confusing now with airlines and hotels and everything. But now we could, again, create those precious memories and experience. Again, the value to our children, educating our children in new cultures. Europe maybe is closed this year, open it up, the safety of it. But as we transition back, it's really the importance of creating those precious memories and experiences through travel and leisure.
Sure. I had a mentor, he was an ex-IBMer, and I worked for the company that he started. And he had a philosophy. There was two things that he talked about. You know, you have a choice. You can stay in the cheap economy, hotels, but the beds are horrible. The accommodations there's nothing to them. I mean, you're basically renting a place to sleep. And he would always talk about the fact that your quality of accommodations were so important because you're better rested, you're more relaxed, you have better things, it takes some of the stress out of the road. So that was the first one. And then the second one is when he traveled, he would always say, if there's a local thing to go see it, because you may never come back. You have no idea when the next time you go back. So run over to Niagara Falls or go to the aquarium in Chicago or those types of things while you're on these business trips, because you don't know when you're coming back.
Yeah, exactly. They've done studies of people in hospice when they interviewed them, in their last years. It's not the things they talk about, not the things they did, it's the things they didn't do that they regretted, the opportunities they had. Why didn't I take that family on that Hawaii trip or ski trip or safari or cruise or see the Rockettes on Broadway or play Pebble Beach that one time? I'm a golfer. So it's important. Again, getting back to travel and leisure, as I tell people, make a plan in advance, book it on your calendar, be flexible. The more in advance you plan, the better rates you're going to get. And here's the euphoria you're going to get. Once you have that trip planned, it's on your calendar. It might be a year away. It'll get you through troubled times. It'll send endorphins to your brain.
Yep, exactly.
You got something to look forward to. And then with these things here, we're going to capture those memories and experiences and put them on Facebook and share them with our friends and really build a legacy of those memories and experiences. So plan the trip. You look forward to it after it's planned. Then you could get through troubled times. Then you actually have the adventure and the experience of the occasion, the trip, and then capture the memories and experience, share and build a legacy forever.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I have another question for you, and I ask this of all of my listeners, or the guests, okay? Now, you talk about bucket list trips, all right? But I talk about bucket lists in a little different way. Everybody understands bucket lists, and, it's a Western culture thing.
Sure.
The things we're going to do before, or we want to do before our time is finished. But there's an opposite list. There always is, okay? That opposite list is the things we don't have any interest in or don't want to do. That list rhymes with bucket and starts with an F, but I'm not going to say that because it's a family show. We keep things a little clean. So what might be an item or two that would be on Chris's effort list? Now, I'll give you a couple examples. So while you're thinking, because this is a little bit of a left-handed question. I won't have a collection of pet snakes. They're never going to happen. I'm not going to do that. I'm not eating any more sardines, caviar, or monkey brains. I'm not going to do that. And the last one is I'm not going to, and I actually did this here locally in Colorado, I'm never ever going to do another Lakota Sioux sweat lodge. The concept of excessive heat, excessive humidity, excessive chanting and drumming, plus a slice of nudity, I'm not interested in that again. So what might be an item or two, Chris, on your effort list?
Well, that's a tough question because I'm pretty flexible. I'm open to change. I like to learn new skills, etc. Again, I'm into health and wellness. It's all, health and wellness. And I think I try to keep myself in shape. Unfortunately, I've been diagnosed with osteoporosis because I played football. Long story short, and 25 years later, I got seizures. I had to take seizure medication, and it caused brittle bones, and it caused me a couple ski accidents. But I believe, trying to stay healthy, try to just to live I don't do anything excessive, drinking. I don't do drugs. And that just sort of try, I'm not perfectly what I eat, but try to keep a clean lifestyle, a positive attitude. We won't get into politics, obviously, on this show, but worry about things you can control.
Exactly.
In other words, I don't like what's going on in this country, but I try to worry about things I personally have control of. When I get up, how I could build my business, how I could enjoy my life with my family, my friends. Live within your means, obviously. Don't go into that. Personal finance is very important. That's why we're giving these tips. You don't want to go out there on a vacation, put down your credit card, and wind up paying off for 3 years at high interest rates. Be educated on personal finance, I think is important.
Okay.
Health and wellness, and really the value of those relationships, your friends. As you develop these business relationships, hopefully you and I will continue this relationship after this interview. Get out there, meet people, go to interesting questions, read. The other thing I think I didn't used to do when I was younger, because I was always playing sports, is get that book out there. When you're sitting on the beach, I go out there, it's therapy. I sit out there under an umbrella. I'm protective of my skin, umbrella, nice lounge chair. Again, first class here in Palm Beach area. Again, behind the Marriott, where everything is provided for me, first class, pennies on a dollar. But I read a lot. I find out that I like to educate myself to current events, no current events, and be informed, health, wellness, and keep track of your personal finance are important things that I try to do. And we all have our downfalls. I'm basically clutter person. My house isn't straightened up, and that's that sort of thing. I have to work on that. I'm weak on technology. A lot of times I'm not good on computers, learning the technology. I'm a little older. I'm not the millennials where I grew up on it. So I'm going to try myself to be more focused. The other thing we mentioned in the beginning of the show, get coaching. Whatever your hobby is, whether it be in business, personal life, whether you play golf or play tennis or paint or whatever it is, get some coaching, mentorship, etc. That'll make you enjoy that passion even more.
Okay. So Chris, if you could, one last time, can you throw out your website for us?
Yeah, the best place to get a hold of me, my website's lifetimeleisure.net. If you want to see some travel tips, I'm on YouTube. They could search Lifetime Leisure Experience. But the best thing your audience can do is I'm providing them it's free, coaching call with me to answer their specific questions about travel for 15 minutes to a half an hour for free now. Just go to Coach Chris, CHRIS, Speaks, SPEAKS.com, and my automated calendar, schedule a time. It's not a Zoom call. You don't have to set it up on your computer. I'm old fashioned. I'll pick up the phone, call you at your designated time. We'll have a conversation, see if I could help you or guide you right way. To really what I have it right on my business cards. We look forward to servicing your dreams and bringing your family together so your memories could last forever.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on. You've been an awesome guest. Glad to have you. We will have you back. There's more to unpack. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I'd love to be back. And you provide this service. A plug for you. I just got introduced to you. We're all new technology through a Facebook group. We all have to learn to use this technology. There's a lot of groups out there for our interests, whether it's in podcasting or travel, etc. And to use the internet, the technology to meet people, to get exposed to different topics, etc. Educate ourselves, be a smart consumer, and different avenues. So I thank you for this great opportunity to share with your audience basically my expertise that I know that could benefit them.
Fantastic. All right, folks, we'll call this an episode for today. We're thankful for everybody listening in. We're thankful for Chris's time to share all the insights he has and learn about his journey. Please stop by his website and take advantage of his free offer. And then also,
and the other thing, Rex, might add, by calling me, I also have a lot of people like ebooks, great 99 travel tip ebook. It's like an encyclopedia, travel tips without skimping. Again, they have that coaching call with me. I have their email. I'll send it off to them absolutely free. That's like an encyclopedia. It's broken down in different areas. So
fantastic.
I think that would be a benefit to your audience also.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, folks, we'll call this an episode, and glad to have you with us. Until next time, we'll say the three things that I say every single time. Be safe, but be bold, and make it a great day.